What's up, guys? My name is Jon Youshaei, and I'm here with Alan Valentin, aka Orbseer. I think he's an artist that you're going to hear a lot more from if you haven't already. So, man, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm excited to interview you. And I think one thing people don't realize is you really have created a name for yourself in the NFT space is your backstory. And so I want to get into that and talk about how you started as an artist at Great America, an amusement park in the Bay Area. Can you tell us what ride you worked on there, what you did, and then we'll kind of connect the dots to what you're doing now in Miami. And I think what may be a record-breaking piece that fingers crossed will be sold and collected. But we'll get to that here in a second. I want to talk about your origin story first. So tell us about how you got started.
So the company I work for, 3D Live, been working with them for 5 years, and the first thing that we did was, my friend Joseph Davidson, he called me to join a gig, because at this point I was not skilled, hadn't done very much. I was always an artist, but I didn't have much skill in terms of like work or trade. So he called me and he's like, yo, these guys are looking for help, they're finishing this big project, and I really didn't know much about it. And we get there, and it's in LA at the big art lab. They have like a whole like small little facility where they have to create these LED panels by hand. And back then the company was still small. I mean, it's still small now. Pretty much the same fundamental people work in the company, and so I just started helping. And they were paying me, so it was like I could really use anything I could get at the time if it felt good to just be like useful. And so we started bringing friends into the project because they needed more hands. And we later found out that we're building a big amusement park ride at Great America. So the first time we actually built the wall, because this wall is massive. I mean, the wall at the show is big, it's long, but this one was tall and wide, and it's being suspended. So we built it in an airplane hangar, and we built it on this kind of rickety like wooden structure. It was a little bit more DIY, but these guys had really big ideas and really big like aspirations and goals with the company. So I just like kept coming back, and so we went to Great America, and we had an Airbnb for a couple weeks, and we had to get this thing done. So we were just like figuring it out as we go, and eventually like my job on it was like I love to climb, and I'm not scared of heights. So behind this massive wall, there's 50 foot of metal truss inside the theater at Great America, and we would just climb up there fast, like design like DIY pulley systems to pull these like multiple $1,000 panels up, hook them in, and just like row by row just create a giant screen. And we finished it in like 2 weeks, and the first time we saw the show, we're in like the 4D chairs, and it's like rocking. We see the animation, it's flying by you, you're in space, and I was just like so like proud to be part of that project. And we finished it in time, and a couple months later, the ride wins an award for best amusement park ride. Then lockdown hit, and hadn't heard from them in a while, and I was just asking like where they were at, because I had I started working on the 3D stuff, so throughout all of quarantine, because I always kind of messed around a little bit, and I made a thing here or there, but like I never really focused on it. During quarantine, I really dialed it in. Like I went in, and that's all I could do. So I tried to make a piece every day, whether I thought it was perfect or not. I try to put it out, because that's why no one's ever heard of me before. Because I've made so much art in my life, but not of things that I would try to release as like, this is who I am. This is my statement piece. So I made paintings and music and short films that I like love, but I never really like tried to release them to the world, because I didn't think they would represent me like hitting the stage. But with my digital, I was like, I can't be too like precious about it. Like, let me just put it out there, release it, and get used to maybe not making every single piece like my full expression, but at least developing my skill and not being afraid to show it.
Awesome. And for people like who may not have experienced this ride at Great America, it's like Star Tours, or like if you've been to Universal Studios, it's a super immersive experience. And, being in the Bay Area myself, I've been on that ride. It's amazing to see somebody who's worked on it. But I wanted to fast forward a bit, Orb, to how you basically thought about your art during the pandemic. Because that was a moment that I think changed so many things and so many careers for people. How did you go from working on these amusement park rides to then thinking about how you could put your art out under your own name moving forward?
So like while I was building the ride and just working with 3D Live, I didn't know how to actually like do any of that stuff. Like, how do I get my work on the wall? And so I started working like a regular office job, like in cannabis, you know, just doing sales. And I saved up enough money to invest in myself, and I got myself a computer that was strong enough to do it, right? So and then like as soon as I got the computer, everything shut down, and I was just there with my computer and this like, in just time, you know. So to keep myself mentally sane, I just started making art, you know, and I'm pretty like quick to learn software and computers and just like figuring out how to get it to talk. So I decided to learn all the different tools that I've seen my favorite creators work with. So during lockdown, I was just trying to put out a piece every day that, you know, was maybe not everything to me, but something just to show, you know, progress. And I kept working, and then people started to see like the growth in it. Because my first work is like, it's cool, but like it's worlds different now. Like before I was creating environments and like, you know, kind of like emulating my favorite pieces, but now it's like it's a world of its own, you know. So I just took the time. So for lockdown, for me, that was like my boot camp of like, yo, you got time. You can't complain ever that you don't have time to work on something. You have all the time in the world, so just work on it. So every day I just try to put something out, and it kept me like, mentally well during lockdown.
That's amazing. I think so many people forget that like an artist has to start out from somewhere pretty rough, pretty raw, and like I was scrolling through your Instagram feed, looking at your past work, and the progress is just incredible.
It's wild, right?
And in talking to you before, I know you self-taught a lot of, like, take me through, like, you know, how did you teach yourself, like, during lockdown? Like, what YouTube videos and channels, or like, how were you going through that process? Because I think there's a lot of people who want to go through it but are overwhelmed by how to get started.
Yeah. So my stepdad growing up had a computer store. So I would go in there and I would just like mess around and just like hear them talk, kind of just learn from them, just mess around enough to like kind of make my, you know, feel my way around a computer, the interfaces, like how does everything talk? What does everything mean? And so when I finally got my own PC, I just kind of like, I got all the software and I just started doing really basic things, you know, just like how to do basic, you know, modeling, how do I make something animate? And then eventually I just got my process down, and now it's like just second nature, and I can just kind of, if I want to do something, I just like figure it out. If I can't, I'll just like literally just search what I'm looking for and find something that's similar, and then apply what I already know to what I'm learning, and then just kind of keep building that. And now, I mean, my goal as an artist is to be able to create anything I can imagine. Right now, I mean, it's close, but like I have a wild imagination. Like I want to see things that I've never seen, and I've never seen in the world yet, but it's all just takes time and patience. And also I want to get to a place where I can collaborate with people that are more skilled in this, and I'm more skilled in this, and we bring somebody who's skilled in this, and we just join to create greater visions, you know. So collaborations are an important thing to learn from, and like I want to be around more creatives that have that and that openness to it.
What's your top 3 wish list of people
collaborators?
to collaborate with right now?
I would collaborate with, I would love to collaborate with Baron Sarper. He's I think it's Sarper, I believe. Yeah, he's an incredible artist. There's this guy named Non-Visuals who's actually he's a friend of ours now. Like I've been following his work forever. And he turns out he's really good friends with one of my best friends' older brother, who's also a really good friend of mine. And he's in LA. I just ran into him last night, but he's incredible. And then Nate Moeller is another like a good friend of mine, and he's young genius, amazing. But also Nina Sense. We're working on something right now. She makes avatars, like digital avatars, and she made an avatar for me for my birthday last year, and she just gave me the file, and she gave me her avatar. I'm gonna do this like cool like joint like male feminine piece. So most of the people I want to collaborate are people that are like my peers, because I know them and they're brilliant, and we can like come up together, you know.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. It's funny because I think most people would have, you know, maybe listed off like folks who are already very well known, and you had an experience where somebody very well known, Justin Bieber, and his team reached out and asked you to do artwork for him. Can you tell me about that experience and why it sounds like you made a decision there that I think most artists wouldn't have had they been in your position?
Yeah. So one of somebody in our company, Nate, and one of the owners, a good friend of mine, he asked me if I wanted to do something, you know. He knew I was still looking for work after they had built the wall at the tower, I started showing some like test clips and stuff, and he saw me like experimenting more, and he asked me if I wanted to make something for Justin to come in and demo.
Yeah.
Just like, let's just show him something, you know, like let's blow his mind, like let's see what Justin thinks about it. And so I started working on like, you know, some stuff, and we had some ideas, and you know, we were like trying to piece it all together, like what would blow the mind of someone who is like seen the world, toured the world to millions of fans. Like, how do you like show them that we have something that could help expand upon their work and their world and to all their fans and stuff? How do we add that? Because, you know, he's an icon, he's a powerhouse of a performer, super talented. So we started thinking about it. I started working on work, and then some of my really close friends like Yvonne and Ryan, everybody was just like, you should just do your own thing. Like, this is not Beiber like world, this is your world, you know, like we can work on the Beiber stuff after, but this stuff is very much you know. And so yeah, I mean, after that I just started like, I got a little bit more experimental rather than trying to like fit more towards like show production style. I wanted to get more into like, let me figure out what I'm trying to say, you know, and then hopefully he can come in and demo that, and then he can see that there's, you know, there's somewhere in the middle we could meet. But I went this way, and that really started leading to Resilluision and all like the more experimental stuff that I was doing. And after that, like I just started really like focusing on like, you know, on my work and finding a value in it as a solo artist. Because at that point I was still thinking like, yo, we could sell a show, and I could be making a show for somebody else, and I could be getting paid to like create content for this wall for somebody else. But my friends were just like, dude, like you could do this. You could do this. I mean, you have the skill, and like just go for it. So I was like, my friends and my team were really like, they were really inspired by my work, and they inspired me to keep pushing upon my solo work.
You got great people in your corner, man. I feel like a lot of folks would have seen like, you know, a shiny object or like a big star, and like, no, keep doing that, versus working on your own stuff, which I think is a perfect transition to where we're at today. Art Basel here in Miami. You had your debut, or you had your showing of Resilluision. Take me through, for the people who haven't experienced that yet, what is it? And what was it like debuting it or showing it the other night?
So the first night was awesome. It was, I don't think many people knew what to expect. The people who had seen it before, like my friends, were there, and they were excited to see people respond to it, right? Yeah. So Resilluision is, you know, it's my life's work up to this point. It's everything that I couldn't put to words, so I had to bring it to images, you know. Resilluision is just a collection. It's like a collage of just different things that may not all, like, you know, fit in the same world, but they all do. They're all different worlds in the same universe, you know.
Totally.
So it's the way I work is like I just make something, and then weeks or months later, it'll speak to me and tell me that this is that part of your life, or this is that part of your subconscious, this is that dream, this is that experience, this is that trauma, something. It'll always come later. I'll never be thinking like, I gotta uncover this, I gotta show people this thought. It's like, it shows me, because I'm just doing this to see something that I'm feeling that I can't put to words, or even that I'm even really like thinking about, you know. So to me, it's just a reflection, you know. It's the resolve of like, these are all the things that I haven't either dealt with, given like attention to, or figured out, and this is that just being shown to me to be like, here, it seems like you got a pretty good grasp on it, you know. Right.
And to give people context, like what this is, the show, it's almost like a curved screen. How big? How many feet
so
wide?
It's a 70 foot.
70 foot, like
holographic.
And you built the screen too.
Yeah, so that's how I started.
So that to me, when you say it's your life story up until this point, it literally and physically is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you used to build screens like that at amusement parks. Now you're building screens to display your own art.
It's crazy.
You spent the pandemic teaching yourself how to make those visuals. Now those visuals live on the canvas that you build. And so when I was watching the show, which was, what was it, 10 to 15 minutes long?
11 minutes and 47 seconds.
11 minutes and 47 seconds long. I felt like it's just crazy how many layers are there beyond the already impressive visual that it's just incredible. So I can't wait for more people to experience it. I'm going to make a prediction, and you tell me if you think it's right. I think your persistence and the way you've put out work and now having this piece that's getting so much interest and attention during Art Basel, I think you may be like, in some ways like the next people, where people like talk about your work and uncover your story, and really think about like, wow, like I can make it if Orb taught himself how to do this and put in all that hard work. I don't know how that like hits your ear, if you think about it like that, but I think that you're just going to hit a new stratosphere, and it's so well deserved because you've taken risks that other people have not.
Thank you. Yeah, my ultimate goal is to just inspire people, because like if I found my creativity, like that's all I could ever hope, is that somebody would see this and also find their own.
Yeah.
That's all I could ever hope. And it's also like the most gratifying thing for me is like when people tell me like, yo, I felt something that I've never felt. Like if you can have a cathartic reaction to my work, that means that I'm doing something that I'm not intending to, but it's a cause of me understanding myself and helping you understand yourself through this kind of like enigma, because truly we've all gone through very similar things. So what I'm trying to create is just like a decoder of sorts, where it's just like, you can feel this because we've all felt like this at some point,
Yeah.
So if you can like just connect with it, it'll help you solve something like it's helped me,
Absolutely.
It's like medicine,
Visual medicine.
Yeah.
Take me through, like, so you have the visual, you talked about like the fact you built that monitor that it's displayed on. What's the NFT component of it? Like, take me through that side, and also how do you decide to put that NFT on that big of a screen and then like auction it off through Origin Story and that platform? Like, take me through the NFT side of the artwork.
Yeah, so what you're buying is what you would be collecting as a collector, is the chance to be the benefactor of a new art movement. It's not just going to be like, oh, I have an asset on my phone, let me show you. It's like, I helped push the future of art in the shared human experience forward.
Yeah.
So the collector that buys my entire collection, which I'm hoping to sell the entire collection as one, because I want to have a personal connection with someone who believes in me. And if my faith and like my heart is right, somebody's going to walk into my life that just goes, I don't need to own this. What I want to do is be a part of this. And yes, you're going to get so many benefits and rewards by helping me, but it's also, you're just going to help the future of art, because my ultimate goal is to show people that technology and spirituality and that connectedness can go hand in hand. It's not exclusive. Like it's not world domination by AI or complete like nature takeover. Like there's a beautiful world in the middle where we can merge with it and create a more beautiful, prosperous future. So I'm just trying to cast the seeds as an artist, and the way that I'm capable and know how is by showing people optimistic imagery of something that is possible. So the collector that would be collecting my work would help me be able to just like relax and like not have to like struggle anymore to find time to work on this stuff. Because living in LA isn't easy, and having to just like the rat race of it, like I would love to just be able to just dedicate time to hiring the right people, just to create a studio, like putting like the super team together, and also bringing in other artists and showing them to do what I do. Because right now there's two people that I know that are trying to present in this format, and the other one is Strange Loop and Spirit Bomb AI. So it's like still it's a very small like group, but I want to bring in other artists from different disciplines. Like I met a tattoo artist last night whose vision is like incredible, and he's like, can you show me? I was like, once I saw his work, I was like, I will show you anything you want. Anything, you have the vision, and if you translate that dedication into this, I would love to see how that would turn into this whole other vision. So I would love to open up a studio, so if somebody were to like be my benefactor and like buy the whole collection, I would be able to like just like create the next wave of studio production, but tied in with like the connectedness of like trying to share a message beyond just like media or advertisement or just endless content. It'd be much more meaningful. I want to call it Seer Studios.
Interesting. Like the way you describe a potential collector is a sponsor, a benefactor, a mentor in your artistic journey from here.
Yeah.
Take me through, like, how did you pick Origin Story as the platform to auction such an impressive piece on?
So I met Kay through William Tong
Yeah.
at the Oni Force party, and I really liked her vibe, and she was very friendly, very consistent, and very professional, and very kind, and just like, you know, authentic. So she just like kept me in the loop and was very just like just open about it. Like, I would love for you to release on Origin Story, and just how quickly her team was to like really like help me and make sure that all things were taken care of for it. Because I don't have a team like that, and because of how proactive they were to help me, I was like, obviously you guys care enough, because I released it on Maker's Place and it would take them forever to email me back. I don't have a personal connection with them, you know? So to me, it was just about having a personal connection, you know, because to me, it doesn't matter as much the marketplace as the people behind it. Because as long as they're driven and you know, responsive enough and tapped in with like the actual people they're helping to elevate, then all things can be fixed after that. If there's any like hiccups or anything, like anything could just keep going. So I just really like their team. They've been very friendly. They seem like they really care about the art and why they're doing this. So I went with them because of like just how quick they were to just open up their world to be like, how can we help you? And I love that. And she's been super cool, and she's really easy to talk to. Kay's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much they put artists and creators first.
Yeah.
And really help throughout the process.
And I like their staking, where, you know, if you make a sale, you get 6 months, 15% stake, because that's more like, let's grow together. We're not trying to take anything from you, but if we help you, let's grow together.
Yes.
You know, so I'm about that. Like, that's better than like 15%. We use like, it's like that. It's like that's a way better model. It's more about like a more symbiotic relationship than it is just like 15%. We take it, we do whatever we want with it, like other marketplaces. So when I heard that, I was like, yeah, like I like that, and I'll probably just keep the coin in OGN and just like, because you guys helped me, you know. So if you help me, like I'll always like, and I'm very quick to pick up on authenticity and like that soul, like, so yeah, I really like them. That's why.
It's very cool. Yeah, their whole model is like thinking long term. For folks who don't know, that's 15%, and you're talking about OGN, which is the coin that Origin has, and that you know, it sounds like it's really cool to hear that you're gonna hold and believe in the platform like long term.
Yeah, I mean,
because that's another way I feel like, you know, of giving back to other artists who may use Origin Story. Or
I hope this goes
NFTs.
really well for all of us, because like this is you know, set the precedent of like, it doesn't have to be so cut and dry for you, for us. It's like, how do we rework it so that everyone can prosper?
Totally.
You know?
Totally. Last question. Tell me about your upbringing. Tell me about how much your mom has empowered you and inspired you and got you to the place where you're at today.
Yeah.
Because I think we can't talk about all this amazing stuff that's happening without going way back and talking a bit about that. So just want to give you the floor to close and just talk about your upbringing and how that influenced you.
So I was born in Mexico in '91, in like the most dangerous city in Mexico now. Back then you could still like cross the border and go party and stuff, but my mom moved from like a little ranch town in the center in Chihuahua, and they came to the border town, and you know, her whole life changed. You know, she got pregnant at 16, 15, had me at 16, and then came to the States to like try to make a better life for us. And you know, like struggled with me at first because she was just a kid learning how to be like a mother, and but she figured it out. You know, she like did everything with like that motherly instinct of like, I have to give this child like the life that you know it requires, right? And you know, learning how to do that as you're growing into your 20s, like I wouldn't have been able to do that in my 20s, you know. But so she raised us, she raised me, and then 5 years later my sister Alex Lee was born, and so she raised both of us pretty much on her own. And then we ended up in New Mexico, where I started like, you know, my teenage years were rough. I was kind of troubled, but I didn't know it at the time because I really didn't know what the source of it was. I didn't know like why I couldn't like get a grip on things. and I couldn't focus on things, and I couldn't really like express myself in a way. So I would just be I'd be, you know, just a handful. So it wasn't until I got like more creative, like around 15 or 16, where I was still kind of running around, and like I started skating. So like that was like the beginning of just like me getting outside and like just having fun, and not having to really think that much, just listening to music a lot, like just putting on my headphones and skating around the river for like hours and days, and like the entire summer just skating. It was my favorite thing to do. So my mom, like in our house back in New Mexico, she would just let me get creative anywhere. Like I remember I painted a giant, like, you know, like the in front of a house there's like that triangle,
Yeah.
you know, like that
Right outside the door.
yeah, like
Yeah.
right on top of the door. She let me paint like this border of gold, red, and blue, and we put this giant sun statue, or like, you know, like ceramic sun with like the rays right in the middle of it. And she just let me do it.
Yeah.
She just let me paint, and then like no one else had that. It was just fun, like, and it didn't even look that good. It was all kind of sloppy, but she was just like, okay, in the front of our house. And then she let me like spray paint my basement. She remodeled the whole basement for me. It was just a hole in the ground, like just like this like creepy kind of cellar, and she like walled it up with like nice wood and carpet and closet and bed, and it was like the room is the size of this back, and it was just like no lights, no windows, and so she let me tag it up. She let me just like do whatever I wanted, and it got really like cool and like funky, like basement. And I had like drums and guitars and stuff there at one point. So we're just jamming. And like now I'm older, I'm like, how do my mom just let me bang on drums in the house all the time? Like, but it was better than like me being outside and getting into trouble. And I started producing music, and I'd always just be like in the basement, just like working on stuff. And that's where I really started to get creative, is in that room. And there was no windows, so I would like start to sleep a lot. And that's when I got into lucid dreaming when I was like 15, 16. I started just sleeping entire summers in, and I would like go really far, but it was taking away from the quality of my life because I was just sleeping. And then I'd wake up and I'd be like half myself. I'd have to like reboot my mind, and I wouldn't be really my full self, because I'd be like, I got kind of like hooked to like, you know, double dream sleeping, where I'm just going back to try to get another hit. And it was some of those dreams were like life changing, like fundamental dreams. So like one of those dreams was in the show, the one with the monk meditating, with like the particles flying around him. That's based off the first lucid dream I had, where I woke up in a cloud and there was a monk there. And it was so clear and vivid that there was no question that I was in the cloud. It wasn't just like, hey, whoa, trippy, I wake up the next morning, I'm like, oh, lucid. It was, I was there, and I was so excited, but that I was so excited that I was afraid I was gonna wake up. I was like, I gotta chill out. I could feel my body starting to wake up, but I'm there. Clouds, infinite sky. Me and my friend are up there. My friend Paul Smith are up there, and he's telling me about how monks have been astral projecting for thousands of years, and he goes, and that's what we're doing right now. And as soon as he said now, it went vroom, and everything was just perfect and clean, and I was present. That's when it clicked, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, and like years later, like 15 years later or something, I'm doing that monk piece, or the meditator. It's called Particle Self is the title of it. I'm doing that, and it takes me weeks till I go, oh, because he's in a cloud, he's like just sitting, and I'm like, that's that dream. And that was like the first really like impactful dream that I had. And I've had many lucid dreams where I'm like traveling for weeks with a nomadic tribe, like I'm going to like future empires, like deep oceans with like monolithic what do you call them, piers with like warships. It's like I've been to some crazy places in my dreams, man. Like
it's cool to see some of that play out in the actual visual. But man, I feel like there's so much more we could talk about. We'll probably have to do like a part 2 or something. But
there's so much, man. It goes deep. That's why when I'm on stage, I'm like trying to tell people, but I'm like, I can't tell you everything. So I'm just gonna try to give you enough so that you keep coming back, because you realize that there's more to it than I can tell you in one go. You know?
And more than one art piece. I look forward to seeing like what other mind-bending illusions you put out there. I think, man, it's amazing to hear your story, like what your mom has done.
It's crazy hearing my own story. Now that I'm saying it, I'm like, damn, like what?
Yeah, it's a pleasure, dude, and I look forward to keeping in touch and just cheering you on, man. I think you're a special soul in this space,
you,
and
it's
beautiful to see. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to check out Orbseer. We'll link to all of his accounts below and check out his work. But until next time.
Cheers.